Hey YouTube, Jedi Fuka here, and we got another Dragonheir video. Now before we get into this video, please go check out the description. Got some links for you guys. The first one is the Amazon link to my wife's book. Please check it out. Even if you don't like stuff like that, just send it to someone who might. Really appreciate the support. The other links are for the game. If you're new to the game, go download it. This is a super fun game. There's a lot to collect for heroes. There's good graphics, great story, good voice acting. Go check it out. Do yourself a favor, guys. And then if you are playing the game, do yourself a bigger favor, get the Discord. Everyone in there is helping each other out. Super good place to be at if you're playing the game. Great community. But now let's get into it. We're going to go back into Grave of Venom. I made a previous video describing how to do the Grave of Venom, but I want to show you guys the importance of a tank in this video. And more importantly, I want to show you guys probably the best tank, at least non-legendary tank in the game. And he's free. That's Horus. So we're going to get into it. Let's go to stage 7. This is the first stage where you're going to get legendary gear. Prior to me leveling up Horus, I was doing stage 6 with a legendary setup as a tank. So we're going to go into 7, and I want to show you guys this little setup that we had here. So before, I was using Ripicus. He's a great champion. I was using him because I didn't have enough resources to build Horus at the time. I was having to be picky. I was trying to focus on some other stuff, so I had Ripicus built, not Horus. But I want to show you guys, we're going to use the exact same gear as Horus for the tank. So you'll see he has tons of HP, tons of defense. We're going to go in here. We're going to use the exact same artifact we're using on Horus. So this is literally the same setup other than this is changing. That's really about it. The same team, everything. And we're going to go into stage 7. And I want to show you guys that Ripicus, a legendary defensive based hero, cannot survive stage 7 with this setup. Now if he had legendary gear, probably, but currently he's not going to make it. He'll make it to like a quarter of the way. And I'm going to show you guys that right now. So he initially tends to start out really good, but he'll start falling off pretty quick. Now, if you're still watching, I highly recommend just using like 2x speed or something on the YouTube video, speed through this section. But there you go, Ripicus died right there. So as you see, that's a legendary tank right there. Didn't even make it, but a little over a quarter of the way on this one. Now I was trying to use Ripicus. I was trying not to use the extra resources, but I ended up going out investing in Horus. And not only did I do stage 7, but I did stage 8. So guys, this stage, as I said in the prior video, it's all about keeping your tank alive and then just having someone who can do damage. I know someone last time did make a comment about how my tank was doing a ton of damage, which Ripicus was doing really good damage, but he was not my primary damage dealer. He was there just as a tank because he's what I had built, and that's what I had. So here's how we have Horus built. If you're trying to get up to here, this is what you need. You need about 65,000 HP, about 1,700 defense. If you have this epic artifact, I recommend it. So for this one, is for each buff the wearer has, their damage taken is reduced. And right now we're up to the 2.8%. So Horus buffs himself. On top of that, we have in our team Megan, who is doing 2 buffs. So at any time, his damage is being reduced, which helps a lot. And we're just going to get this running as we're going. This is the exact same team. The only difference is Horus is in there, and we're at a higher stage. Now I do have an auto select on him, as you'll notice. It's just delayed slightly so that Megan does her special first, and then his is kind of offset. Even if I would have done that with Ripicus, he would have still died. He wouldn't have made it. But we'll get into that a little bit later. That's more into the team setups, and I've just barely started playing with it. It helps you time out your attacks so that you don't always have things landing at the same time. The one I have it set on, it actually only affected that first one. Even though it's still there, it doesn't actually change his timing from here on out. So his timing stays the same. Now we'll pull this up so you guys can see what's going on with the team. Oster here is our damage dealer. I can show you his setup at the end of the video. He's in a pretty beast of a setup for a damage dealer. So you do need someone who's dishing a lot of damage for this, and then you need tons of heals. The way this team is set up, it could actually be better. So for you free-to-play people, my recommendation for a healer is to use Hexandra. Vivek here is really good. However, his heals are less than Hexandra unless there's a debuff on the champion. So I try to time it out to where he gets the heals landed whenever there's a debuff on Horus, and if that happens, his heal is absolutely spectacular. If it doesn't happen, his heal is not as good as it could have been, but that's alright. At least he still gets some pretty decent heals. So Hexandra there is really good. Megan here, now depending on your team setup, Megan is good. She does the continuous heal and the defense up. Someone who's probably a little bit better is a Radiant. Shoot, his name slips my mind right now, but in the white robes, you guys probably know him. But he does a defense up and a heal. We'll go through it at the end, but he's probably a better option. There's obviously some epics who are better, and if you don't have Furbath, I would recommend switching him out just for another random healer that you have. And then there's other videos that I have even the last one I have will show you the positioning. If you don't have 2 melee units, there's another positioning you can use that only makes the tank take the hits. So if you're going to build a different healer other than Furbath, watch my last video. It'll show you what position to use, and it's going to help you out a lot so that this only hits the tank. Anyways, guys, I know I'm talking a lot, but I really just kind of wanted to explain how the team works. And if you don't have these champions, I wanted you to know that you can do this with a free-to-play team. In Season 0, I was free-to-play farming Stage 8 using Horus as a tank. And initially, I was at Stage 8 using the Adventurer as my damage dealer. So it can be done. Horus is fire, Adventurer is fire. And then for this season, if you throw in Hexandra for Poison Dealer, you already have a 3-person bonus. For my team right now, Horus isn't even receiving that 3-person bonus. The bonus is going to Furbath, Megan, and my damage dealer. So in all honesty, if you used a fire poison team, you would get more benefit because the main purpose of this team is to keep your tank alive. Then the secondary purpose is to have enough damage to get the kill, which is what gets you the win. And then the third one is, of course, going to be having enough heals to keep the tank alive, which goes into that first area. But still, in the end, enough heals, a beast tank, and some damage, and you got this dungeon on lock. Watch the end of this. So there you have it, guys. As you see, we're now beating the boss. I just ran this. I used all my extra energy. I think I did like 15 runs, maybe 14 runs, and it was 100% success rate. So that gives you an idea of what you need for a tank. Horus is your guy. Go use him. Dude is number 1. Now, just to show you, like I said, you'll probably be doing at least, stage 7 if you get the right damage dealer, healers, and Horus. For all my people are in epic gear. No one is in legendary. I barely started farming a legendary, so you'll see. Now, Oster here does have a pretty insane build. We're at 3,391 attack, 73% crit, and a bunch of damage. If you're building damage dealers in this mid-game, I would prioritize attack, and then when you start getting good gear, start pushing your crit rate. The goal for crit rate should be about 75%. Once you hit 70% crit damage, which we're almost there with Oster, so we're pretty good on that. My other champs, we have Horus here. This epic artifact probably does a lot of good for him. I would recommend it if you have the resources to get it. If not, these are my stats here. We have 67, almost 68,000 HP, 1,700 defense. This is very similar to what I had in Season 0 for my Horus build, and that was with legendary gear. We're not even at legendary gear yet, so when we get legendary gear, we will definitely be doing stage 9 pretty easily. Furbath here, if you're going to build with him, this is his stats. Mainly with him for this, you just need a ton of defense for his heals because he's heal based. I did build his accuracy so he can use that decreased attack and also this defense drop. This is my favorite epic artifact that helps you get the damage down on the boss as well. So Furbath is multitasking with that. And you'll see our healers are low levels. You don't need them to be very high. Your main thing with your healer is whoever is HP, they need to be next to the group of everyone so that they receive the heals. Like Megan here, she's in the group, so she receives her continuous heal, and you want to build up their defense. Doesn't matter who. Hexandra would do a better job if you're using Hexandra. Build up Enlightenment. Honestly, if you're using Hexandra, I would put her with the lowest HP, build up Enlightenment so she has the biggest heal, put her in the group, and then put your defense up as a separated person that you saw that I had. So pretty easy, guys, but I really wanted to show that, especially because in my last video, people did comment and people private messaged me telling me how my team was OP'd because Ripicus was my tank. Ripicus is actually not a good tank. He's more of a utility champion. I was just using him as a tank. These roles, there are people who do better. If you're going free to play, you could do Horus right here. You could switch your main champion here to fire. Let's just do it just so you guys have an idea of what it would look like. So he would be fire, and then you would have poison. What that would do is that would move your bonus into your tank. If you have Hexandra, I would put Hexandra, let's just go grab her. Here we are. So if you had Hexandra, I would actually make her your lowest HP, put her in the group right here. And then for this final one, the person I was thinking of was Corian. Of course, I remember the name when we're done. He would give you the defense up and also a heal. So he would probably be better than Megan for this, because the heal is better than a continuous heal in my opinion, especially if you have the artifacts that assist in that heal. But this is kind of what a free-to-play team would look like. If you don't have Furbath, you would just take them out, replace them with another healer. And another good option for this, keeping the super free-to-play friendly, would be your Imperial Warrior Meredith here. So this is kind of what a free-to-play team would look like. Horus is the best tank in my opinion in the game outside of the legendaries. I don't have any legendary tanks, so even for me, he is the best tank in the game right now. But something like this would work for you on free to play, and then you just slowly push up your gear. What your goal would be is to do this dungeon to where you're getting epic gear. Use that epic gear to beef up your attack champions. Then you're gonna go over to the Grave of Curse, use them to get some defensive gear, get your tank in epic defensive gear, and then that's gonna push you up to stage 7 where you can start farming the legendary gear. So anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I just wanted to show you how you can beat Grave of Venom, start getting legendary gear, a setup you can use. Although I kind of was a little deceitful here, I apologize. If you're gonna replace Horus here and another healer, such as your Imperial Warrior, you do need to change up your setup. I need to double check. If you watch the last video, you'll get it for sure. I think this is kind of what the setup would look like, something along these lines. Let's just go for it, see if it hits correctly. What you're looking for is when this A2 goes off, we want to see who it hits. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the setup. Of course she died because she's level 1, but she died before they went off because of the wisp. But that should be about what the setup looks like. So if you're not using Furbath, then you want something along these lines. And then that way these 4 don't get hit and only your tank does. That's it for the video. Appreciate the time. Y'all have a good one.